why the rich keep getting richer, and what a Band 9 IELTS essay looks like on this topic. Today, I am going to read you a true Band 9 IELTS Writing Task 2 essay on one of the most common and most difficult topics in the test, the widening gap between the rich and the poor. Then I am going to break it down sentence by sentence so you understand exactly what makes it Band 9. The vocabulary choices, the sentence structures, the argument logic, and the cohesion. By the end of this video, you will have a clear mental model of what the examiner is looking for, and you will know how to apply it to your own writing. If you are new here, subscribe now. This channel will help you improve your IELTS band score. Let us start with the task question so everything is in context. The question is, in many countries, the gap between the rich and the poor is widening. What do you think are the causes of this problem? What measures can be taken to reduce this gap? This is a classic two-part question, causes and solutions. Many candidates make the mistake of writing more about one part than the other, or spending so much time on the introduction that they run out of space for well-developed body paragraphs. A Band 9 response treats both parts equally and develops each point with a reason and an example or elaboration. Keep that in mind as we go through the essay. Now, let me read the full essay first, without interruption, so you can hear how it sounds as a complete piece of writing. The essay begins. Few phenomena capture the contradictions of modern economic life as starkly as the simultaneous creation of extraordinary wealth and deepening deprivation. While global prosperity has never been greater in absolute terms, an ever-narrowing elite continues to capture a disproportionate share of that growth, leaving vast populations further behind. This essay argues that technological disruption, structural inequities in taxation and education, and the uneven distribution of globalization's rewards are the principal drivers of this divide, and that targeted policy reform across these same dimensions offers the most credible path toward a more equitable distribution of wealth. The most transformative cause of rising inequality is the accelerating pace of technological change. Automation and artificial intelligence are rapidly eliminating routine, low-skill occupations while simultaneously generating outsized returns for those who own or operate these systems. A factory worker displaced by robotics does not simply find a comparable job elsewhere. They enter a labor market in which the premium on advanced technical skills has never been higher, and in which retraining opportunities are often inaccessible due to cost or geography. This skill's premium compounds existing disadvantage and widens the income gap with each successive wave of innovation. Equally significant is the role of regressive or inadequately progressive tax regimes, which allow capital gains and inherited wealth to accumulate largely untaxed, while the wage-dependent majority bears a proportionally heavier fiscal burden. When the state simultaneously underinvests in public education, the children of low-income families are structurally denied the human capital needed to compete, perpetuating poverty across generations rather than interrupting it. A further dimension is the distributional logic of globalization. While the integration of world markets has lifted aggregate growth, it has concentrated rewards among multinational corporations and mobile capital owners, while exposing low-skilled domestic workers to wage suppression through competition with cheaper labor abroad. Reversing these dynamics requires a coherent and mutually reinforcing set of policy interventions. The most immediate lever available to governments is fiscal reform, restructuring tax systems to ensure that capital gains corporate profits, and inherited estates are taxed at genuinely progressive rates would redirect substantial resources toward public investment. Those resources should be channeled first into education, not merely expanding access to schooling, but fundamentally redesigning curricula to embed digital literacy, critical thinking, and vocational pathways that reflect the demands of a technology-driven economy. Alongside education, robust and well-funded social protection systems, including universal health care, housing assistance, and targeted income support, are essential to prevent temporary economic shocks from becoming permanent disadvantage. Finally, governments must strengthen labor market institutions, raising minimum wage floors, enforcing collective bargaining rights, and extending worker protections into the informal and gig economies would begin to rebalance the structural power asymmetry between employers and workers. In conclusion, the widening wealth gap is not an inevitable consequence of progress, but a product of policy choices. Choices about who bears the tax burden, who receives educational investment, and who is protected when markets fail. Governments that choose to reform taxation, deepen human capital investment, and build resilient social protection frameworks can reverse this trajectory and ensure that prosperity is shared rather than concentrated. The essay ends. Now let us go back to the beginning and break it down. The introduction. Listen to the opening line again. Few phenomena capture the contradictions of modern economic life as starkly as the simultaneous creation of extraordinary wealth and deepening deprivation. Notice what this sentence does. It does not begin with a paraphrase of the question. It opens with a broad, sharp observation that immediately frames the problem in intellectual terms. The phrase, "contradictions of modern economic life," shows the examiner that this writer thinks analytically, not just descriptively. The contrast, extraordinary wealth against deepening deprivation, is precise and powerful. This is lexical resource at work. The second sentence builds on this by acknowledging what is true. Global prosperity is high, before immediately introducing the tension. An elite captures most of that growth. This is a sophisticated rhetorical move. It shows the writer is not making a simplistic argument. They acknowledge complexity. That is a hallmark of Band 9 writing. The thesis statement in the introduction is also worth examining closely. This essay argues that technological disruption, structural inequities in taxation and education, and the uneven distribution of globalization's rewards are the principal drivers of this divide, and that targeted policy reform across these same dimensions offers the most credible path toward a more equitable distribution of wealth. This single sentence maps the entire essay: 3 causes, 3 solution areas. And the phrase, "across these same dimensions," elegantly signals that the solutions will mirror the causes. This creates coherence before the body paragraphs even begin. Many candidates write a vague thesis like, "This essay will discuss the causes and solutions." That scores you no marks for sophistication. A Band 9 thesis tells the examiner exactly what position you are taking. If this is already clearer than what you have been writing, hit the like button. It helps me grow and produce better videos for you. Now the first body paragraph, causes. The paragraph opens with a topic sentence that makes a clear claim. Technological change is the most transformative cause. Notice the word most transformative, not just one cause or a cause. The writer commits to a ranking. That signals confidence and precision. The development that follows is what separates a Band 7 answer from a Band 9 one. The writer does not just say, "automation eliminates jobs." They explain the mechanism. displaced workers enter a labor market where retraining is often inaccessible due to cost or geography. That phrase, cost or geography, is efficient and precise. 2 words, 2 real-world barriers. No padding. The expression, skills premium compounds existing disadvantage, is also worth noting. To compound means to make something worse by adding to it. This is sophisticated academic vocabulary used accurately in context, exactly what the examiner rewards under lexical resource. The paragraph then pivots smoothly to the second cause, regressive taxation, using the linking phrase equally significant. This is a more elegant connector than another cause is. It introduces the new idea while also implying a comparison in weight. That is cohesion done well. The line about children of low-income families being structurally denied the human capital needed to compete is precise and powerful. Notice the word structurally. It tells the examiner that this is not just bad luck, it is built into the system. That is the kind of analytical depth that pushes writing into the highest band. The causes paragraph ends with globalization. The writer frames it not as good or bad, but as distributional. It concentrates gains in some places while suppressing wages in others. This nuanced framing is important. Band 9. Writing avoids sweeping generalizations. It acknowledges that forces like globalization are complex and that the problem lies in how their benefits and costs are distributed. Now the solutions paragraph. The opening phrase, reversing these dynamics, is a clean, confident transition. It directly references the causes just discussed, another cohesion technique. The paragraph then works through solutions in the same order as the causes. Taxation first, then education, then social protection, then labor rights. This parallel structure makes the essay feel organized and intentional. Notice how each solution is tied to a mechanism. It is not enough to say, governments should invest in education. The essay says the investment should redesign curricula to embed digital literacy and vocational pathways. That specificity is what gives the argument credibility. The phrase prevent temporary economic shocks from becoming permanent disadvantage is a particularly strong example of precise academic expression. It captures the purpose of social protection in one well-constructed clause. The final sentence of the solutions paragraph introduces the concept of structural power asymmetry between employers and workers. This is a high-level piece of analytical vocabulary. Asymmetry meaning an imbalance where one side has significantly more power than the other. Using it accurately in this context signals genuine mastery of academic English. Now the conclusion. The widening wealth gap is not an inevitable consequence of progress, but a product of policy choices. This is a strong concluding statement because it reframes the problem. It moves from description to argument. It is not just saying, inequality is bad and we should fix it. It is saying, inequality is a choice, a political and economic choice, and that choices can be changed. This gives the conclusion weight and originality. The final sentence uses 3 parallel noun phrases: reform taxation, deepen human capital investment, and build resilient social protection frameworks. This tricolon structure is a classic rhetorical device. It gives the ending rhythm and finality. The last word is concentrated, deliberately placed at the end to contrast with shared, which comes just before it. That is a writer who is in full control of their language. Let me now give you 5 key lessons from this essay that you can apply immediately. Lesson 1. Do not paraphrase the question in your introduction. Open with a sharp, analytical observation that shows you understand the issue at a deeper level. Lesson 2. Your thesis statement should map your entire argument, causes, and solutions in 1 or 2 precise sentences. Vague thesis statements cost you marks. Lesson 3. Every cause and every solution must include a mechanism, not just what happens, but why it happens or how it works. That is the difference between a Band 6 explanation and a Band 9 one. Lesson 4. Use high-level vocabulary accurately. Words like compound, asymmetry, structural, and disproportionate are not decoration. They carry precise meanings. Learn them in context, not in isolation. Lesson 5. Use parallel structure in your paragraphs and in your conclusion. When your solutions mirror your causes, the essay feels coherent and purposeful. The examiner rewards that. That is the full breakdown of a true Band 9 IELTS Writing Task 2 essay on the wealth gap. If you want to see more breakdowns like this, let me know in the comments which topic you want next. See you in the next one.